As we have the great Magic Johnson with us tonight, Stephen A., Michael Wilbon, Jalen Rose. Let's take a quick look here at the difference in experience in this series. It's an interesting one. It's the third time that we've had an NBA Finals in which one of the teams has at least 100 games of Finals experience and the other has none. The others involved, 97, the Bulls were the experienced team against Utah. And then Magic in 91, your team had 135 games of experience, and Michael's Bulls at that point had none. I should mention, 31 years ago today, Magic had a triple-double in Game 1 of that series. But you are the perfect person to ask. How significant is Finals experience in this matchup and in general?
To me, it only means something toward the end of the game, right? Well, you've been there, you've done that. Also, your nerves before the actual first game. I think Boston is very hyped, probably very nervous, don't know how to really control the nerves. But to me, it doesn't really mean anything because, you got to go out and play the game. Let's remember that Boston's taken down all the big giants in the East. So I don't think they're going to come here and be nervous. I think they'll be ready to play.
Let me bring Jalen in on that. You played in the NBA Finals, and yours was the less experienced team when you got there. What are your recollections of that? What is it going to be like this first time?
Well, in our case, we were going against two of the top 5 players in the league in Shaq and Kobe, and we lost a couple of years prior to Mike, Scotty, and Phil. And so going against those guys, they were an upstart team like the Boston Celtics hoped to be. But I want to allude to Magic's point. These are, on paper, 2 of the best offensive teams in the game. Not true. Because the last 4 minutes of the game, the Boston Celtics are one of the worst teams in the NBA at executing. We just saw that against the Miami Heat in Game 7. Yep. That's what experience matters, late in games and being able to make a play.
Judgment under pressure.
Yes.
And their judgment under pressure has not been great. We saw that in Game 7, even though they're here. I mean, they tried to fritter that away in Game 7 at Miami. So the question to me is so interesting that Irvin said that. End of game, particularly in Game 1. I mean, you're going to learn just along the way from Game 1 to Game 2. But tonight, if it's a close game, and particularly with the ball offensively, what about judgment? We've seen Jaylen Brown, particularly with those turnovers throughout that series. What is their judgment going to be, and will it be impacted by the lack of experience in the finals?
See how brilliant I am? I learned the lesson. I learned the error of my ways. I agree with all of y'all. I agree with every one of y'all. I mean, there's nothing different about that. But I will say this. Can we be a bit more specific? We have the greatest point guard in NBA history here. The Boston Celtics don't have a prototypical point guard. That's their problem. They got players, they got athletes, they got rough riders, they got competitors, they've got skilled individuals, and collectively, they're tenacious defensively. But when it comes down to crunch time, a floor general you can hand the ball to say calm everything down, to be an orchestrator, the umbilical cord, the extension to the coach. Who is that guy? And see, Golden State, even though he's not a point guard, he's a point forward in a Draymond Green. Does the Boston Celtics have that in the closing closing minutes?
Well, that's up to Tatum and Brown, though, because we know who's going to have the ball in the end of the game for the Celtics. To me, they had to run more motion. They had to mix it up. You can't just leave Tatum out there trying to play one-on-one against 4 other, not only his defender, but the 4 other Golden State Warrior players. So that's where they run into trouble trying to play 1 against 5.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.